Good morning, children. Today we are going to see chapter 6, Manufacturing Industries. What is manufacturing? Production of goods in large quantities by processing raw materials to more valuable products is called manufacturing. Simply we can say the industrial process by which raw materials are converted into finished products used by us is called manufacturing. Yes, of course. See, cotton is a natural fiber, then cloth is a finished product, isn't it? So, production of goods in large quantities, not a minimum quantities, in large quantities. Production of goods in large quantities after processing from raw materials which we obtain from nature, isn't it? So, production of goods in large quantities after processing from raw materials to more valuable products is called manufacturing. Actually, the process of manufacturing adds value to the goods and makes it more useful to us. See, for example, car is made from steel, but it is the manufacturing which turns steel into a car and adds such a high value to it, isn't it? Yes, see, if we simply see, that is steel, but after manufacturing only we get car. Then automatically what happened? It increases the value, it adds its value, isn't it? Then everything that we use, for example, tea, sugar, even kitchenware, bread, clothes, furniture, paper, books, even trains, aeroplanes, cars, etc. are all manufactured goods, isn't it? All are manufactured goods produced in industry, isn't it? See, manufacturing industries fall in the which sector? Secondary sector. See, already we know very well there are three types of sectors in the Indian economy, isn't it? One is primary sector. Actually, primary sector involves what? Primary sector involves agricultural activities, mining, forestry, poultry, etc. Isn't it? Now we are going to see about the secondary activity, that is industries, isn't it? So, manufacturing industries fall in the secondary sector. Okay. Actually, people employed in the secondary activities, right? Yes, of course, people will work in the industries, right? So, people employed in the secondary activities manufacture the primary materials into finished goods. Yes. See, we know very well there are three sectors of the Indian economy. One is primary sector, you know very well. What is primary sector? Primary sector involves agricultural activities and what else? Forestry, mining, poultry, etc. Isn't it? Now we are going to see the secondary sector. Secondary sector involves what? Secondary sector involves in manufacturing of goods from raw material provided by the primary sector. Okay. Then what is the third sector? Third sector is tertiary sector, isn't it? Actually, tertiary sector provides banking, then transportation, insurance, and then advertisement, etc. Isn't it? So, in this chapter, we are going to see thoroughly about manufacturing industries. Okay. Actually, the activities in primary, secondary, and tertiary sectors are interdependent, isn't it? We know very well. Industries get raw materials from agricultural sector, right? Then for the improvement of agricultural sectors, technology wise and instruments and all we are getting from industries, isn't it? So, and for the both for these both sectors progress depending on tertiary activities, because banking sector and advertisement, everything involves in this tertiary activities. So the activities in primary, secondary and tertiary sectors are interdependent. Okay. See, the economic strength of a country is measured by the development of manufacturing industries. Of course, we know very well. If we take USA, Germany, Britain, Russia and all, in these countries have well developed industries. So they are known as developed countries. Why? Because they get per capita income or GDP growth they have, right? These are the criterias to measure the countries are whether they are developed or developing or undeveloped. But why we are calling these countries are developed countries? Because they are getting their national income more, that's why. So, manufacturing sector is very important and it is considered as the backbone of development. Yes, already we have seen agriculture is the backbone of our Indian economy. Why? Because 2/3 of Indian population depends on agriculture, right? So that. But industry is considered as the backbone of development. We will see why. Because manufacturing industries help in modernizing agriculture, which forms the backbone of our economy. Yes, see, if we take our agricultural sector, if you see 10 years back how was the materials used, and now what are the technologies we use, a drastic difference is there. Why? Because those time for spraying insecticides itself we used sprayer. Now especially in the plantation, in the commercial farming and all, they are using drone to sprinkle the insecticides. So how much modern technologies are introduced in that agricultural sector. So manufacturing industries help in modernizing agriculture, which forms the backbone of our economy. Okay. Next, manufacturing also reduce the heavy dependence of people on agricultural income by providing them jobs in secondary and tertiary sectors. Then industrial development helps in removal of unemployment and poverty. Yes, of course, industrial development only helps in removal of unemployment and poverty, because people will get job opportunities, so that what happened? So that poverty won't be there, right? The poverty will be eradicated, isn't it? Then it also aims at bringing down regional differences by establishing industries in tribal and backward areas. For example, Chennai is an industrial epicenter, isn't it? Uh, there are different types of industries in and around Chennai. For example, car companies such as Tata Motors, TVS Motors, Kia Motors, Hyundai, Honda, Suzuki, etc. Isn't it? So Chennai is an industrial epicenter. You know, children, Chennai is known as Detroit of Asia or Detroit of India. Why? Because Detroit is a city located in US, famous for motor industries, car manufacturing industries. So Chennai is also epicenter of manufacturing cars, four-wheel drives, isn't it? So Chennai is known as Detroit of India or Detroit of Asia. Okay. So government has taken measures to establish more industries in backward areas and tribal areas in order to bring down regional differences. So so that for example in Nilgiris tea estates are there, so that many tea factories are established over there, so that industrial developments will help to bring down regional differences, isn't it? So industrial development helps and removal of unemployment and poverty, and also it aims at bringing down regional differences by establishing industries in tribal and backward areas. Okay. Export of manufactured goods expand trade and commerce. Yes, of course. Actually, countries that transform their raw materials into a wide variety of furnished goods of higher value are prosperous. See, for example, the furniture industry. Actually, teak, oak, cedar wood, then pine wood, sandalwood are expensive types of wood, isn't it? They are all used for making furniture, isn't it? Actually, these woods are highly expensive, and when people purchase the goods they pay more price, isn't it? So that it increases its value, means transform their raw materials into a wide variety of furnished goods of higher value or prosperous. So transformation from raw materials to finished goods also increases its value, isn't it? Then India's prosperity lies in increasing and diversifying its manufacturing industries as quickly as possible. So why is manufacturing industry sector considered the backbone of economic development of the country? Explain 4 reasons. Question may be asked like this in the exam. Okay. Now we will see about agriculture and industries. Agriculture and industry are not exclusive of each other. Actually, agriculture and industries are like two sides of the same coin, isn't it? Yes. Why? Because agriculture and industries move hand in hand. On one hand, many industries like sugar, textile, etc. depend on agricultural products. They are agro-based industries, right? On the other hand, many industrial products such as fertilizers, insecticides, and all help in increasing agricultural productivity. Actually, industries in India have been a major boost to agriculture by raising its productivity. So, many industries depend on agriculture for raw materials and sell their products such as irrigation pumps, insecticides, PVC pipes, machines and tools, etc. to the farmers. So, agro industries in India has given a major boost to agriculture by raising its productivity and convert agricultural products into value added commodities. For example, sugar from sugarcane, cotton textile from cotton, etc. Isn't it? Yes. Actually, there is a great need of new machineries in agriculture. Yes, the modernization of agriculture results in production. For the new machineries and new and modern technology, agriculture depends very much on industry. For that example, we saw about irrigation pumps, motors, then what else? Tools, PVC pipes, etc. Isn't it? Hence, development and competitiveness of manufacturing industry has not only assisted agriculturists in increasing their production, but also made the production process very efficient. Okay. See, in the present day world of globalization, our industry needs to be more efficient and competitive. Actually, self-sufficiency alone is not enough. Our manufactured goods must be at par in quality with those in the international market. See, if we export our goods, it should be good, right? Quality wise, cost wise, it should be good, right? Then only people will buy more and more, right? Only then we'll be able to compete in the international market. Okay. See, agriculture and industry go hand in hand. Explain or agriculture and industry move hand in hand? Analyze the statement with 3 examples. Okay, otherwise agriculture and industry are not exclusive of each others. Support your answer by giving any 3 arguments. Like questions may be asked in the examination. Okay. Let's see contribution of industry to national economy. Okay. See, over the last 2 decades, the share of manufacturing sector has stagnated at 17% of GDP out of a total of 27% for the industry, which includes 10% for mining, quarrying, electricity and gas. See, stagnation means lack of growth. Okay. So, the contribution of industry to national economy is increasing, yet it is not very satisfactory. Okay. Actually, comparing with East Asian economies, this is much lower. Actually, the trend of growth rate in manufacturing over the last decade has been around 7% per annum. Actually, the desired growth rate is 12%. Since 2003, manufacturing is once again growing at the rate of 9 to 10% per annum. In East Asian economies, the share of manufacturing industries is 25 to 35% of GDP. With the appropriate policy interventions by the government and renewed efforts by the industry to improve productivity, economists predict the manufacturing can achieve its target over the next decade. So the National Manufacturing Competitiveness Council has been set up with this objective. Okay. Actually, India's GDP growth rate slowed down to 5.7% in 2017. It is due to the destocking ahead of GST implementation and a lingering impact of demonetization. Okay, then why has the National Manufacturing Competitiveness Council has been set up? The National Manufacturing Competitiveness Council has been set up with the objective to develop the sector of manufacturing industries and to achieve the desired growth rate of 12% in the upcoming decade, with appropriate policy intervention by the government and renewed efforts by the industry to improve productivity. So why has the National Manufacturing Competitiveness Council has been set up? Because to develop the sector of manufacturing industries and to achieve the desired growth rate of 12%. Okay. Now we will see the factors that influence the location of an industry. See, modern manufacturing industries tends to locate at the most appropriate place when all the factors of industrial location are either available or can be arranged at lower cost. See, industrial locations are complex in nature. Actually, these are influenced by availability of raw material, labor, capital, power and market, etc. Isn't it? Generally, see, the factors necessary to establish an industry are not available at one place. Yes. So, what are the factors? They are labor, capital, power and market, etc. Therefore, manufacturing industries are usually located where all these factors can be made available at a low cost. Yes, then only it will be profitable, otherwise it won't be. So, what are the factors that influence the location of an industry? These are influenced by the following factors. What are they? Availability of raw material, availability of labor, availability of power and availability of market. These are the factors that influence the location of an industry. Got it? So, why is the least cost known as decision making factor for ideal location of an industry? Because generally manufacturing activity location should be at the most appropriate place where all the factors of industrial needs are available or can be arranged at lower cost, isn't it? So at least cost of all the factors reduce the cost of production and less cost of finished material ultimately increase the profit of producers, isn't it? So what are the reasons, what are the factors that influence the location of an industry? We saw already: availability of raw material, availability of labor, availability of power, and availability of market, isn't it? Here, why is the least cost known as decision making factor for ideal location of an industry? Because for the profit, after an industrial activity starts, urbanization follows. Sometimes industries are located in or near the cities. So, industrialization and urbanization go hand in hand. Actually, cities provide markets and also provide services such as banking, insurance, transport, labor, consultants, and financial advice, etc. to the industry. Okay. What is urbanization? Urbanization, we can say nagarmayamadal solluvaangalla, urbanization. Okay. So urbanization is the gradual change of a rural area into an urban area. Actually, the proportion of people living in rural areas decreases and they move to urban areas. So, industrialization and urbanization go hand in hand. Okay. For example, let's take Chennai. Due to the growth of many industries in that area, people migrated from surrounding rural areas to urban areas, isn't it? So Chennai is crowded area, isn't it? See, many industries tend to come together to make use of the advantages offered by the urban centers known as agglomeration economies. Let me explain what is agglomeration economy. See, due to the presence of one industry, there is scope for development for other industries whose development can be linked to the industry. This results in accumulation of many different types of industries which depend on each other in that area. This type of economy is called agglomeration economy. For example, let's take the textile industry. There is a factory which produces cotton clothes. Gradually, we will observe the rise of other industries such as weaving, dyeing, printing industry in that area, because the growth of their industry is linked to the cotton industry, isn't it? Therefore, industries linked of one another tend to accumulate in a particular area. This is known as agglomeration economy. Okay. So, what is agglomeration economy? Many industries tend to come together to make use of the advantages offered by the urban centers. This is termed as agglomeration economy. Then gradually a large industrial agglomeration takes place. Okay. See, industrialization and urbanization go hand in hand, isn't it? In the pre-independence period, most manufacturing units were located in Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, etc. Why? Because from the point of view of overseas trade, they are all port cities, right? Consequently, there emerged certain pockets of industrially developed urban centers surrounded by a huge agricultural rural hinterland. Hinterland means remote area, far away from the coastal lines. Okay. Now we will see about industry and market linkage. In this, we will discuss about inputs. Actually, what are inputs? Inputs in an industry, certain things are required at the pre-production stage for making of goods. These are called inputs. So, in an industry, certain things are required at the pre-production stage for making of goods. These are called inputs. These include raw materials and component parts. Let's see the important factors of production. The important factors of production are land, labor, capital, entrepreneur and infrastructure, isn't it? Now we will see about land. It should be available at the most appropriate place where all the factors of industrial location are either available or can be arranged at lower cost. Okay. Then labor. Labor, there should be cheap and enough supply of labor, right? Then if we take capital, to run industrial activities sufficiently and regularly, supply of capital is a must, isn't it? Then entrepreneur. Entrepreneur means a person who conceives and implements the idea of setting up an industry by organizing land, labor and capital is called an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur in Tamil, Tolil Munaivoor. Okay. See, cost of obtaining raw material at the factory site should be minimum. Yes, raw materials should be available nearby or may be transported cheaply to the industrial location. Yes, then the factory should be so located that the manufactured products may easily be distributed or transported to the market at the least cost by rail, road or water transport. So, cost of manufacturing at the factory site should be low. This means that trained, experienced labor should be readily available locally or in nearby areas, and electric power supply should be readily available and cheap. Also, land for locating the industry should be available cheaply. Okay. For example, let's take the Moganu sugar factory. Sugarcane is obtained from the surrounding areas. As we get it from nearby, the cost of transportation is low, isn't it? Yes. So, the cost of production at sites should be low due to the availability of markets nearby. The cost of distribution would also be low. In this case, the railway station is located near to the factory. Therefore, goods can be easily transported at less cost to the markets. Okay. So, what are inputs? Raw material and component parts are called as inputs. So, adequate and continuous supply of raw materials, supply of cheap electric energy, then adequate facilities for quick transport and communication, then huge amounts of capital, then well trained and skilled labor, good market and also government policies influence the location of industry. Okay. Already I have told you about ideal location of an industry, isn't it? Let me recollect some points regarding ideal location of an industry. Okay. Actually, why is the least cost known as decision making factor for ideal location of an industry? Generally, manufacturing activity location should be at the most appropriate place where all the factors of industrial needs are available or can be arranged at lower cost, isn't it? At least cost of all the factors reduce the cost of production and less cost of finished material ultimately increase the profit of producers. Okay, don't forget it. Now let us see the classification of industries. Okay, actually industries are classified on the basis of the following criteria. On the basis of raw materials used, industries are classified into agro-based industries and mineral-based industries. First, let me tell you about agro-based industry. See, agro-based industries are those industries which depend on agricultural products as raw materials. For example, cotton textile industries that use cotton as a raw material, isn't it? And then process it to make dresses. And also agro-based industries manufacture processed food, sugar, cooking oils, dairy products, cotton textiles, tea, coffee and thousands of such items of our daily use, isn't it? Mineral based industries. See, mineral based industries use rocks and mineral ores as raw material, isn't it? Yes, petroleum industry uses fossil fuels as raw material and iron and steel industry uses iron ore as raw material, right? The products of these industries feed other industries. For example, steel is used for the manufacture of a number of products such as building material, heavy machinery, automobiles, etc. In fact, copper, aluminium and cement industries are all mineral based industries. Okay. According to their main role, basic or key industries. Industries which supply their products as raw materials to other industries. Example, iron and steel, copper, aluminium smelting. Then consumer industries. Industries which produce goods for direct consumer use. For example, sugar, paper, toothpaste, sewing machines, fans, etc. On the basis of capital investment, industries are classified into small scale industries and large scale industries. Industry which requires heavy machines and modern technology to manufacture goods employs a large number of skilled and unskilled workers. Huge capital investment and professional management comes in the category of large scale industries. Such industries give employment to a very large number of people, isn't it? These types of industries are usually located at places where raw material, power, labor and transportation are readily available. Yes, such industry may even obtain raw material from a distant area and sell goods to far off markets. See, iron and steel industry, textile industry, automobile industry petroleum refineries, etc. are examples of large scale industry. Okay. If investment is more than 1 crore, it is called large scale industry. Okay. Then let me tell you about small scale industry. See, industries which are set up with a limited capital employ a few workers who work on hand operated machines or small motor operated machines in a place built on a small plot of land come in the category of small scale industry. For example, industries producing furniture, ceramics, garments, electrical appliances, electronic goods, toys, leather products, metallic utensils, textiles, etc. Okay, actually, a small scale industry is defined with reference to the maximum investment. This limit has changed over a period of time. At present, the maximum investment allowed is rupees 1 crore. Okay. On the basis of ownership, industries are classified into public sector, private sector and cooperative sector. Let me tell you about public sector industry. See, industries owned by central government or state government come in the category of public sector industry. Very large industries like Steel Authority of India, ONGC. ONGC. What is the expansion of ONGC? Oil and Natural Gas Corporation. Okay. Hindustan Copper, then Hindustan Zinc Limited, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited are companies wholly owned by the government without any private investments. Okay. Next, private sector industry. These are the industries which are wholly owned by the private entrepreneurs without any government holdings. See, the Birla groups of industries, Tata Steel, Reliance Industries, etc. are some of the leading private sector industries. Okay. Joint sector industries. These are the industries which are owned, managed and controlled jointly by the government agencies and private firms. For example, Maruti Udyog Limited is an example of joint sector industry. Then Oil India Limited, OIL, is jointly owned by public and private sector. And cooperative sector. See, cooperative sector industries are owned and operated by the producers or suppliers of raw materials, workers or both. The members of the cooperative share the profit among themselves. These industries run with the motive of community welfare. AMUL, Amul or Anand Milk Union Limited is an example of cooperative sector. The sugar industry in Maharashtra, the coir industry in Kerala are another examples of cooperative sector. On the basis of weight of raw material and finished goods, industries are divided into heavy industries and light industries. Examples of heavy industries are iron and steel. Then examples of light industries are cotton, textile and woolen. Okay. Children, so far we have seen about what is manufacturing. Actually, what is manufacturing? Production of goods in large quantities after processing from raw materials to more valuable products is called manufacturing, isn't it? Then we saw about importance of manufacturing. Actually, manufacturing industries help in modernizing agriculture and reduce the heavy dependence of people on agricultural income. How? By providing them job in secondary and tertiary sectors. And also industrial development is a precondition for eradication of unemployment and poverty from our country, isn't it? Then we saw about export of manufactured goods, expand trade and commerce, isn't it? Then India's prosperity lies in increasing and diversifying its manufacturing industries as quickly as possible, isn't it? Then we saw about how agriculture and industries move hand in hand. Actually, agriculture and industries are like two sides of the same coin. Then we saw about the contribution of industry to national economy, isn't it? Then we saw about industrial location. Then we saw about the classification of industries on the basis of raw materials used, and what else? And on the basis of role played by them. Then we saw about on the basis of capital investment, then on the basis of ownership, then on the basis of the bulk and weight of raw material and finished goods. Right? Children, I hope you all understood these topics clearly. Thank you.